All right, we're going to work on hair now. You might remember if you've already watched the eye video that there's kind of 3 basic steps. We're going to use those same 3 basic steps for hair. You'll have to pardon my angled paper here. It works a little better for me to have it at an angle. So I'm just going to have it at an angle and hopefully you'll be able to see that okay. I think I'm going to start, I could start with my finger. Maybe I'll try that. Start with my finger. That's my favorite. And just like with the eyebrow, we're going to want to add value here. We're adding some kind of mediums, even some sort of darkish areas. And I'm going to try to move my finger in the same direction as the hair. So you might recognize Doug's long curly hair here. That's what we're working with. And I'm going to see more shadowed areas here by the neck, kind of behind the ear, where the hair is kind of wrapping around the back of the head, that sort of thing. You'll want to watch for those areas with extra shadows in your photograph because it's really nice to add those in this early step. Makes shorter order of your next steps later. And just like we did with our example drawing, we talked about hairline and texture and direction. That's what we're looking for here, is what are we seeing, I should say, for texture and direction? What do we see for the hairline? What kind of shape are we looking at? That's what we're trying to follow here. And even though his hair is lighter on some of the edges and stuff, I'm still going to add a little bit of value there because I can't make something lighter that's already paper colored. I can't make it lighter if it's already the color of my paper. So I need to have at least a little bit of value there to begin with. I'm going to do a little bit of work with my Kleenex here. I think that's going to help deepen a couple of those shadow areas. Pull out some of those darks where we see those again. Hopefully you can see that we're getting a little deeper shadows going on in some of those spots. Again, always trying to follow the texture and the direction there of that hair. If you have long hair, you're going to want to make ideally some longer marks. If you have short hair, you're going to want to be making short marks in this step. I'm able to make a few shorter marks because Doug's hair is curly, so it gives me a little bit more freedom or flexibility to do that. So our next step then is to take our kneaded eraser and squish that so that you have a curve here that's thin. Okay, and this step, again, this is my favorite. Maybe you guys will love this too. When you take this kneaded eraser, you're now trying to capture the look of some of those individual hairs. Your lines, again, you want to have following the texture and the direction of the hair. So you'll want to watch and see like what's happening there. What direction is everything kind of going? What's the texture that you see? Feel free to redo that, that kneaded eraser. Kind of re-squish that as you need to keep that nice sharp edge there. There's a lot of different kind of curves and waves here, so that's really fun. I actually love drawing hair. It's super fun. You have an extra piece of paper in that packet that I sent to you, And so if you wanted to, you could use any piece of paper, but if you wanted a piece of paper to kind of practice on, you could use that one to practice on. Do like a little hair example yourself if you want to, or you've got there's some extra stuff you can do with it with your own drawing as well if you'd like. If you just pause for a second and take a look, there is a huge difference in texture between the right and the left sides of this drawing at the moment because of that eraser kind of highlight texture. We're going to get some of that texture on the opposite side here as well. Trying to pay attention to what happens when the hair meets the face. Re-squish that eraser as we need to here. And we are just about set. If I were doing this drawing, I could definitely spend a little bit more time on any of these steps if I were finishing this particular drawing, but to give you an idea how it works, I think we're good to go with the highlights. So then the last step is to take your pencil, and you could try this with your blending stump if you want to, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to get it dark enough. I'm definitely going to want the pencil. Even the pencil's not terribly dark, so that's my preferred tool here, but you're going to want to add some depth then with your pencil. So it's kind of similar to what you did with the eraser, only this time you're using the pencil to add some depth. And feel free if you have, Doug's got a bunch of kind of wispy hairs. Feel free to add those little wispy hairs. Use your pencil kind of lightly when you do that. Take a look at the area like here below the ear is particularly dark, so you can really press that shadow nice and deep there, and then kind of turn your shadow into what looks like hair, because that's what we're drawing, is the hair. So that would be good. If you get one or two kind of crazy hairs, don't worry about it, especially if, again, you're doing hair kind of like this. You can always go back with your kneaded eraser. Like if I didn't like that line right there, I could get this kneaded eraser nice and thin and try and go just right along that line and pull most of that out, or at least lighten it up so it doesn't show up as much. That might be something that you like doing later. Let's see. We might add just a little bit more up here, and then I think we'll kind of call it on our demonstration. Hopefully you can see the difference between where we've added just the highlights and where we've added the highlights and those shadow or low lights or darker hair areas, whatever you'd like to call that. I'm excited to see those 3 steps in the hair on your drawing work as well.